Hi, my name's Dr. John Anderson and I'm a lecturer in the School of City and Regional Planning in Cardiff University, and this is a short podcast about podcasts. A podcast is a multimedia digital file made available on the internet for downloading to a portable media player or other form of computer. Podcasts have become increasingly popular within academia as one pedagogical tool that can enhance teaching and learning. And this podcast seeks to outline some of the key debates that have arisen through the increased popularity of podcasts within academia, as well as showcase some of the ways in which I've been using podcasts within my human geography lectures within the School of City and Regional Planning. So podcasting is a medium through which a wide variety of messages can be communicated. As Volagel and Gard distinguish, in academia, podcasts are generally used for administrative purposes, for special lecture series, or for any form of curriculum teaching in form of classroom podcasts. It's assumed that podcasts realise a number of benefits in the student teaching and learning process. They're portable, flexible and convenient, meaning that students can listen to them at any time. Students can listen to them when they're doing other things, being on a bus, waiting on a train, for example. They can multitask and therefore get their learning in a variety of ways. As long as they've got easy internet access, they can access these podcasts and they can listen to them repeatedly, going over material to make sure they understand it properly. Similarly, they can control the speed of playback. If they're not very good at English as a first language, for example, that might help them. There's an automatic subscription. They can watch it back through iTunes or other sort of uploading software. Students can listen to it whenever they want to. And there's special advantages for students who are auditory learners rather than perhaps more written-based learning, a blended form of learning. This helps, therefore. And similarly, this helps students who are principally learn online or through distance learning. Podcasts allow them to access their material in a variety of ways. So with all these purported benefits of podcasts, a question is set: is podcasting, has it become a technological tool that can help expand the space of teaching and learning for students in higher education? All students inevitably stop coming to lectures if they can, through lecture capture and podcasts, get all their material online or in some non-interactive situation. I would argue, alongside Frierson, that lectures remain vital to the learning and teaching portfolio of skills if lectures can bring alive a body of knowledge in the minds of students, and it can do that by offering something that podcasts can't, by being interactive, dialogic and an event that students wish to engage in, participate in and attend. However, of course, podcasts do remain useful. Podcasts can help students revise their notes in ways that perhaps are more useful than a textbook because, as we've seen, they can go over material again and again. They give an option to both teachers and learners to deal with the material when the time is most available to them. And perhaps most importantly, for me at least, it can free up time within class for more participation and more in-class discussion, and for higher order learning activities such as deep learning. I currently use podcasts in a number of ways, and I'll give you some examples after this slide. Firstly, I use podcasts to support seminar reading. Secondly, to support assessment. And thirdly, creating a range of new resources to help students critically learn and use online resources. In the next current academic year, or the upcoming academic year, podcasts are going to be used also in the School of City and Regional Planning to support field study visits and ask students to create their own podcasts alongside the digital case studies and film essays they currently make as part of their assessment. So this week in the Geographical Ideas Reading Group, we're looking at critical geographies, radical theory and critical practice. In the lecture we looked at Karl Marx and his influence on Marxist geographies, and in this reading there were also mentioned in dispatches feminism and post-colonial geographies that we'll be turning to next week. This week, in Duncan Fuller and Rob Kitchen's piece, Radical Theory, Critical Practice, Making a Difference Beyond the Academy, looking at a range of questions, thinking about what inspiration should we take from Karl Marx's notion that geography and geographical knowledge isn't there simply to understand the world, but crucially it's there to transform the world, it's to change the world.
What role should we as academics and you as scholarly students have in relation to that world? Is your job simply to understand that world, write good essays, get a good degree, or to use your knowledge, your privileged position almost within society, as someone who can afford to and intellectually capable of doing a degree, should you use that knowledge in trying to improve the world in some way?
In order to realise this project, students will set the task of making a short film or audio slideshow as part of their Qualitative Methods module. This Qualitative Methods module involved the researcher not only exploring respondents' perceptions and interpretations of the world, but also explicitly positioned themselves as active interpreters of their world. The assessment required students to employ a range of qualitative methods, including ethnography, autoethnography, interviews, recorded images, pictures and sound, to portray their interpretation of the place they live in, the place of Cardiff. In other words, following Cohen-Smith, the assessment required them to be a tour guide for their city and use a range of mobile qualitative methodologies in order to enhance their knowledge of their city. In groups of 3, students were asked to drift across the city and inform their drift through one of the following questions. When undertaking the drift, they had to undertake a number of exercises. They had to record their drift using audio recordings, taking photos, making films about the landscape they're walking through. They then had to reflect on their experiences through a focus group discussion and use these materials in order to set up a storyboard for their drift that they then made into an audio slideshow.
This is a short podcast to show how you can supplement your broader reading on the subject by using online resources, particularly the Scopus resource. As we'll see, Scopus is a really useful free online web engine that will allow you to search through a whole range of academic journals to find those that are most relevant for your assessment. Okay. So the first thing we can do is try to find Scopus online. We can straightforwardly do this through, of course, Google. So if we put in Scopus, that's the link we need to get to, www.scopus.com. It's as straightforward as that. We can see a normal domain here, a normal search thing, very similar to Voyager. And we can search via a document, via an author, via an affiliation search or an advanced search. Generally speaking, a document search is what you need. So to summarise, therefore, podcasts can be really useful as part of the teaching and learning repertoire. As the following student in Lonna Tearsley responds, when I have had a question about specific material presented in a lecture and have been afraid to ask the professor to clarify the information, I first listen to my podcast recording to see if I can make a better understanding of the material myself. I would say the podcast has contributed to my learning by giving me the chance to re-clarify and better understand the points discussed. And of course, in a way, it therefore saves the lecturer a bit of time as well, so they don't have to spend their time with the student answering a question. So in summary, 3 key benefits that podcasts can contribute to the teaching and learning repertoire. Podcasting, as Fernandez et al. Suggest, is a powerful tool as a complement, not as a substitute to the traditional resources on any module. The characteristics of podcasting increase the impression of permanent contact between students and teachers, increasing that interaction when in fact that interaction isn't person to person in a real sense. And this can enhance students' motivation and feeling that they're of course getting value for money. So the use of podcasting allows for a diverse range of student skills and learning methods, not simply in the way they learn, but when they get into creating podcasts themselves, they're increasing their skills that they have for the job market outside.